what you've been able to bring to Woven as well is a distillation almost of those years of experience. You know, you've worked client side, you've been in different businesses, we worked together previously in another business, so we've got a long history of working together. But tell us a little bit about the toolkit that you've assembled.
So yeah, I've been in agencies for...
I mean, you're still very, very young, obviously.
obviously. I've been in agencies of a couple of decades now. No, I don't look that old. But it's a toolkit of all the the tips that I've picked up along the way that have helped me sustain growth in clients, and that's helped me develop those relationships with clients. And some of it's do's and don'ts, and some of it's a case of, you know, you might find the following tricks kind of work, you know, pick up the phone, don't just email your client, have a conversation with them, they are a human individual, you know, be friends with your clients, take them out for coffee, you know, it's these things that develop relationships. So I've put together this toolkit for the guys, just some experience that I've found that works along the way, and you know, I'm not perfect, and it will depend obviously on how the client likes to work as well. But yeah, so there's lots of different things in there in terms of do's and don'ts, and some guidelines in terms of this is how I think you should run your accounts. This is the things that are important to us as a business in terms of looking at, you know, how we schedule a resource and how we work with other individuals around the agency to make sure that we can deliver, and that everybody knows what they're doing, so there's no kind of wasted time or anything like that. So yeah, it's a series of hints and tips, I suppose.
It's again back to the restaurant analogy. It's making sure that all of those touch points we know how they're supposed to be delivered in the first place, and I think that's really important, isn't it? Because if you hire 5 or 6 people with different characters, even if they're all great, they're all going to do it differently. And there's a certain room for that. We're not trying to produce robots, but at the same time, there are certain standards and certain ways of doing things that we want to be delivered with a certain amount of personality. So it's kind of like bring your whole self to the job. But there are certain ways that this works well, and there are certain ways that it doesn't work as well. So let's define all of that stuff in advance and figure out what kind of experience we are actually trying to deliver.
And I think within the toolkit, one of the areas that I took particular care over is this is how relationships can go wrong. Let's avoid this at all cost. And it's things that you would think is, you know, common sense, but actually sometimes you just need to call it out, because depending on what exposure people have had to different industries, different personalities, it may not necessarily be obvious to some people. So it's calling things out in terms of, we want to do this, we don't want to do this, let's avoid this at all costs. And it's just giving people that knowledge and insight.